You are never alone. Whatever you are going through right now can feel isolating. It can feel like no one understands you, no one cares. There can be a lot of shame coming up, and I just want to let you know that I'm proud of you for showing up messy, for doing the work. This video might not be for everyone. Everyone may not get it, it might not resonate, but if you have felt like you've been going through life with no safety net, like you've had to just operate with your back against the wall your whole life, and you've had to carry this very real and visceral fear all the way from an early age, and this heaviness, this burden, I just want to let you know that you're not alone, and I promise you can get through it. I paused many times before making this video. I wanted to share this specific message that was coming up for me, and I had some hesitations around it. Every time I sat down to record something, I kept seeing angel numbers. I saw 111, 222, 333, 555. And my feeling with angel numbers is I feel that they come up more often, usually, at least in my experience, when I am operating out of alignment. I see them a lot. I don't chase them, I don't glorify them, I don't pedestalize them, I don't look for meanings and things like that and interpretations. I simply notice that I'm noticing them more, and I think about what I'm feeling in that moment or what I'm thinking about, and I make my own interpretation and conclusion. So basically, I felt that this is something that I should share, but I felt some kind of internal resistance about it. And a lot of it has to do with my own shame that I carried for so many years, and the deeper reason behind my fear of being seen and known is to let people really into a very vulnerable state. And a few times I was collecting my thoughts, I even got emotional. I was thinking, oh gosh, not me about to cry on camera. So this is me showing up very messy in a way that I have not allowed myself. And I am really grateful to have this space and container that I am creating, not just for myself, but for others who resonate with things that I talk about. And I just want you to know that I feel you. If you feel me, I feel you. I don't know how else to say it. So this is going to be a long intro into what I actually want to talk about. Maybe this will inspire me to figure out how to do the chapter things. This channel has been such a blessing that I didn't expect it to be. It has, honestly, I think it has changed my life thus far, even being a tiny creator. And it sounds cheesy to say that, and it's not for any monetary reason or any reason why one would think starting a channel might change someone's life. But the shift within me has been so palpable, and it has allowed me to show up in this way to really prioritize authenticity and alignment of my body, mind, and spirit. And it has called me to make changes for things that are out of alignment. It has been a catalyst for so many things. And it all started with just me challenging myself just to show up. Because deep down, I knew that doing so would be the key to unlock a lot of things for myself. I don't know how I knew, but I knew. That's how intuition goes. You may feel uneasy, unsure. You may feel like you're in an in-between state. You may feel like you're stumbling, but there's this calm and clarity and sense of knowing that goes beyond reason. And that's kind of what intuition is. You feel this underlying sense of peace, even if there's fears and chaotic things happening and whatever's on the surface level. It's like the waters are so calm underneath because it's deep. It's coming from a place of inner wisdom and knowing. And if you've ever had that experience, you know it's very profound. So it may seem silly to, okay, you're going to start a YouTube challenge for yourself. You're going to turn on the camera, talk to yourself. Like, these seem like insignificant things. And if you do things in an insignificant way, then it is insignificant. But if you are a highly sensitive and a deep person, then everything you do has that depth and richness to it. And that's the way that I strive. It's not even strive, that's just how I am, actually. I don't know how to be other than deep. That's just what it is. So if I show up messy, that means showing up as I am, unapologetically, and accepting myself and having this radical love and forgiveness. And it's been quite a journey. So, and I am so grateful for those that have tuned in, that have shared comments, that have reached out, that have connected. It went beyond my expectations. I just thought I was going to face this little fear that's been holding me back for years, and it turns into something so much more, where I truly feel that I am blossoming into this space where I feel so held. And I created this container for myself to be able to express freely in a way I haven't had before. Had a lot to say, clearly, because I can go on and on and on for over 20 minutes, but I didn't have, I guess, a safe space and a container before, and I decided to create that for myself. And the next step, the next phase would be to expand that for others. And I'm still figuring out what that looks like. But there's more to come. And I could go on and on talking about all the ideas and plans and things, but today I just wanted to talk about this thing that I just came to understand and accept, and it has to do with when you feel like you don't have a safety net, and the way that that affects how you show up and how isolating it can be. Because at least in my life, I don't really know that many, if any, people that have lived that experience. There's people that can try to understand, they can empathize, they can imagine, but if you've never walked in those shoes of basically operating in survival mode indefinitely from a very young age, it does something to your psyche. It has a deep, profound, and lasting impact on you. And there's a shame attached to that impact. And I think I might do a series on shame because I want to talk specifically about unpacking layers of shame. And one of those layers has to do with the shame around survival mode. And so stay tuned and let me know if that's something interesting to you that you'd be interested in for future, like a series unpacking shame. Maybe I'll make it all in one, or I might do it each layer its own. I guess it depends, but it's something that has been a big part of my shadow work, and I feel like I could help someone by talking about my experience and my story, and that what that healing journey has been like. I've never positioned myself to be some all-knowing sage or guru or anything like that. I've always felt very wise beyond my years, and I was able to tap into this wisdom early on. And I have a lot of things I want to share related to that. But truly, I just see myself as a mirror to shine a light on things and to remind whoever's watching of their power and their light, and sometimes their shadows. So anyway, I guess I'm having a little trouble getting into this topic because it is very sensitive for me, but I have felt this almost stigma and shame around this sense of not having my act together, not reaching a certain point by now at my big age and carrying the shame for so long, and then coming to the realization that I don't really know anyone who has had to carry that weight of truly not having a backup plan or a safety net. Now, don't get me wrong, and I guess I struggle talking about it sometimes too, because there's also the victim shaming, or, where to have a victim mindset is also shamed. And I don't see the situation as woe is me and everybody feels sorry for me. It's more like understanding that for so long I was trying to project this image like I was not a victim, like it wasn't affecting me, like it wasn't that deep, I guess, when it was. And that denial and that repression caused so much more damage than if I just told myself, yeah, this sucks. Yeah, I feel like a victim in this sense, but it doesn't define me. It doesn't say anything about my worth or value as a person. And I hope that you don't internalize your circumstances as a reflection of who you are as a being ever. And I think sharing my story could help someone along their journey. And I'm not gonna go into the super nitty-gritty, but long story short is, from a very young age, I did not have a stable living situation, and I didn't have the opportunity to like stay with family or something like that. And there was a lot of pressure on me because I resisted following a traditional path, like school and things like that. And it kind of, there was a point where it was projected on me that my circumstances were my fault, and that it was because I was so horrible, because I was lazy, because I was unmotivated, because I am a quitter, because I XYZ. When the reality of the situation is that when you are living out of survival, you're not really making choices. You're kind of like, when your life feels like a battle, everything becomes a strategy. It's like I had this vision of like the emperor like rolling out the map, and he's like putting the X's, like this is where the enemy troop lines are, and this is where we're gonna set up, and this is the encampment, and this is where the horses are gonna go. I don't know why I had that visual, but that's kind of how you move through life when you're in this state. And then on top of that is this shame that it's your fault, that you feel disconnected, you don't have a sense of belonging, you don't have a sense of connection, you don't have certain resources or support, and you're basically without a safety net, feeling at any given moment that the rug could be ripped out from under you. And imagine being in that state constantly and how that affects your mental health, your choices, your, it's really an illusion of choice because everything you do is for your survival and self-preservation. And it's it's not that you have trust issues, it's that you have pattern recognition. And there's been so many times where it almost felt like this shame that I carried was weaponized against me. Oh, you're flaky, you're non-committal, you have trust issues, you are always running from things, you're job hopping, you're not stable. And it's like all this shame projected and internalized, you know, and this feeling like maybe I am lazy. Maybe I should have figured it out by now. Maybe they're right that, I'm just not thinking, positively enough. I'm not manifesting well enough or whatever, it always points back to that it's your fault somehow. And that's not to say that there's no accountability or, there always comes a point where you look at your life and you make assessments and you make changes, and it is a choice if you're choosing the same pattern over and over and over again. But what I'm saying is that the shame and the added self-criticism, like that's not helping the matter, you know? So if you resonate with that feeling of never having a safety net, like first of all, just take a moment to just be there for yourself and with yourself and hold that space and have compassion and acceptance. Like, it's not your fault. It was just circumstances. And it's not your fault that it's taking you longer to get back to your feet. It's going to take however long it takes. But the internal pressure, that's harming you more than the circumstances itself. Like, that's the realization that I came to. And allowing people to judge me. Like, how dare somebody judge you that has never walked in your shoes? Like, just think of the audacity of someone that can run home to mom and, have that shoulder to cry on, have a place to stay, have a whatever it is that you didn't have, to judge you on your circumstances and how you're handling things. Like, let that sink in and don't be afraid. Like, you can get a little bit angry even. Like, that was part of my healing journey, is like saying no to taking on that judgment and that criticism. Like, no one that cares about you would put you down and belittle you like that, or judge you for your circumstances or how you're handling things when you're just doing the best that you can without helping or offering any kind of support, like. And I've been blessed and grateful to have built a support system around myself and to have this chosen family. And I'm so grateful, and I'm not trying to say that I have nothing or go in the woe is me, but that's part of the shame, is like, oh, I can't look like a victim, or I can't act like a victim, or talk like a victim, or whatever. Just the point is that it's okay to accept and acknowledge that part of yourself, that little girl or little child that never really got the chance just be to just be a kid, to play. Like, that's something that is like a grieving process, because you can't get that back. You can create joy and childlike wonder and play in your life now, and you can be there for your inner child, but you can't go back in time and get that back, you know? So, and just acknowledging that wound is there is part of the work, you know? And like, two things can be true. You can be striving to better your situation, but also being gentle with yourself and not beating yourself up in the process, you know? It's like, as more time passes, you're going to apply more shame because why haven't I figured this out? Why haven't I? It's because you're comparing yourself to people who have never walked in your shoes, and they're comparing your experience to theirs when it's like apples and oranges, you know? I didn't have a lifeline, I didn't have a safety net. And so I had to create it, I had to become it, I had to build it. Like, how dare you look down or judge on someone that you can't even, you wouldn't survive a day in their shoes, you know? And this doesn't just go to my circumstances. Like, there's so many silent battles that a lot of us are carrying, and to take on that shame from outside, it's just an extra weight that I want you to know that you don't have to carry that. And you can forgive yourself for not knowing, or for doing your best at the time with whatever you had, the capacity you had, the knowledge you had. I was speaking with a friend earlier, and I said, you can't judge yourself for yesterday's actions with today's reflections, you know? Like, you didn't know back then what you do now. You were not the same person. We're constantly growing and evolving. And so this whole notion of should have been by now, that's just external pressure from people who don't really, and who never will really understand, you know? And it's okay. Like, I know that my experience is not super common, at least in my network, but I know I'm not the only one who's ever dealt with this or something similar, or just that sense of feeling like you have no one to turn to, you know? And I believe that whatever is our biggest battle, our biggest struggle, becomes our biggest strength if we surrender to it and take the lesson from it. And so that's been my journey of transmuting this pain and this heaviness, this darkness, into light. And I'm able to heal and to hold space for others, because I know what it's like to feel lost and alone and broken and afraid, and just, you know, if you've gone through that, where your basic needs are constantly in question, you're in that ultimate heightened state of fear for an extended amount of time, like, that is extremely stressful. That is a lot to carry. And a lot of times, the better you carry it, the more isolating it feels. And I think part of the problem that I had was I worked so hard to craft this image that I do have things together. And I guess at some point I crumbled under the weight of holding myself together in this way. And I just want you to know that if you have felt like that, you are not alone, and you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. Because that's what shame is, right? It's not I did something bad, so I feel bad. That's guilt. Shame is I did something bad. I am bad. It's you are internalizing and you are attaching your self-worth and self-value to mistakes, transgressions, flaws. We all have them. We are all so helplessly human. And to deny that and to judge others and to sit on your high horse and, look at someone like, oh, look at what they're doing over there. No. This sense of separateness, this superiority, inferiority, comparison, those are all illusions. The truth is that we are all one. We are all love, and we are all perfect beings as we are, even in our most flawed and vulnerable state. And it's not until you truly accept that and cultivate unconditional love, like on my worst day, on my messiest day, I still deserve love. And you learn to cultivate and give that to yourself until you find that place within yourself, that safety. It's going to continue to feel like an uphill battle, not because of any circumstance, but because you are just in this perpetual survival mode. You're not what happened to you or what you've been through. You're not just a survivor. You're a freaking warrior. To be able to show up, even show up messy, that mantra kind of started as to get away from perfectionism, but it's also show up vulnerable, show up with an open heart, an open mind, show up without your guard up, without allowing your heart to calcify or freeze. Like, that is such a strength to still carry a soft heart in such a cruel and hard world. And if that's you, you're a freaking warrior. And I just wanted to share that message just to let you know you are never alone, and to remind you that you are so worthy and so deserving no matter what, and to not allow that noise, that negativity, those narratives that other people create about you to permeate through. If you resonate with what I'm saying, you are such a beautiful and precious soul, just like everybody else. But you've been given this unique set of circumstances for a reason. And just trust and have faith in your journey, trust the mystery, and you don't have to carry all of that alone. And it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to not be where you're supposed to be, whatever that means. Anyone who puts you down for that, for your circumstances, that's not someone you want in your life. I'm sending you so much love, so much healing, and just that reminder, you're not alone. I love you so much. I'll see you in the next one.